from the White House, courthouse, to the church house. God is cleaning all three houses. But what about our own house? You know, life and religion has caused great trauma to the souls of warriors. And with all this information readily available, where is the revelation that will heal the souls of the wounded warriors? Well, it's time to raise up the shields of warriors. This is the Way of a Warrior, Unbreakable Love podcast. I'm Gina Guy Warren. Well, welcome all of our listeners. We're sorry we're a little bit behind technical difficulties. I've got my husband, Pastor Brian, Mr. Unbreakable, in the studio with us today. You have joined the Way of a Warrior, Unbreakable Love podcast. I'm Gina Guy Warren, and we've got a treat for you. We are continuing our series on warrior mindsets and MMA fighters and protective agents, and we have got a distinguished guest for you today. And before we bring him on, I'm going to do an introduction so you understand what you're about to be treated to. Listen, warrior mindsets, that's what this is all about. You may not be a cage fighter, actually going into a cage like my husband has done for his professional career for so many years, or as our distinguished guest today, right? These executive protection agents and U.S. government security contractors, but everybody's in a fight. Everyone's in a fight. And so gather your family around, your friends around, share this video, because this is something you're really going to want to listen to. But today we have Karl de LaGuarda visiting with us, and what a treat you're going to have, because he's a 39-year veteran of the protective services industry. He is the founder and CEO and international security consulting and protective services training company that's based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. And then Karl also operates KDI Protective Services of South Carolina. And this is a licensed statewide private sector response agency providing specialized support services to security agencies and other organizations in need of high level protection operations. But, Karl's experience is a combination of, you ready for this? Military law enforcement, civilian law enforcement, international corporate security management. And throughout his career, Karl has maintained an emphasis on executive protection and anti-counter-terrorism and tactical training. Beginning his career in the United States Air Force in 1979 as a law enforcement specialist, Karl was selected as a protective services officer, providing personal bodyguard services to numerous senior ranking military officials and government dignitaries. This selection was a direct result of his certification in police SWAT and completion of a variety of military tactical operations. Welcome, Karl. It's so good. Hey, did you like that?
I love that. Wow. I don't know where you pulled that clip from, but I absolutely love it. Hi, Gina. Hi, Brian. How are you today?
It's great to see you. It's been a while since we've seen you in person.
It has been. I know, way too long. I hope the two of you are doing well.
We're doing excellent. We're going to get into this, but what an honor. I mean, I know what you've done, but to hear it again, it's just amazing. There are credentials that you have behind you, and thank you for being here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, I was looking back at the notes, and it was 2023, Karl, that Brian and I took your executive protection course at KDI.
Time
South
flies, doesn't
Carolina.
it?
It really does. And I mean, honestly, we had the privilege of being trained by you. And then you had just your staff is just amazing. I mean, former Secret Service agents to some of our US presidents. And my husband and I, well, he'll take it a little bit from here because we had no idea when we took that course what God was going to launch us into the next 2 years, right?
Well, let me go back to the course while I'm remembering it. That course that you have is top notch. I've been to some courses, and
Thank you.
nothing compares to what you do. The live scenarios. I mean, you had some of us scared that like there's some real terrorists out there trying to get us, man. It was unbelievable. It was perfect, and it got us prepared for what we do now, and opened up a lot of doors for us. So
yeah, I mean,
it's funny you bring that up, Brian, because a lot of comments that we get from the class is during that 80 hours of complete immersion training, scenario-based training, students at certain points don't know where reality ends and fiction begins, and that's the actual experience that we're going after in that.
Well, what a statement. We don't know where reality and fiction, they just merge. And what you say, that's where so many people, Karl, stand today with what's going on. You know, I say from the White House, courthouse, church house, you know, all of these positions and all of the stuff that's going on, I think people are scared and they don't know what's going on and they feel so unsure. And that's the purpose of doing these broadcasts with, you know, just exceptional. I mean, look what we read about just some, and there's so much more to say, but you're such a humble man, and the experience that you carry under your belt, it's my number one agenda today is that all the listeners gather the intel that you speak from your experience, and they're able to say, I can put that into this corner of my life, and this makes sense how I can apply this. Because like I said, we're all in a fight, right? But I was thinking about the KDI protective, and we had no idea that we would be led to protect some of these high profile clients, even in the political realm. And it was we just thought, you know, we're just going to get this under our belt and just learn some things and see where this takes us. But it took us into some interesting arenas. And we have you to thank for preparing us.
Well, no, it's an absolute honor to have had the opportunity to train both of you, especially with the backgrounds that you brought forward into the class. It just helped enrich it. But Gina, you said something interesting there that, you know, everybody is fighting. Well, we might not always be on an offense, but we are always on a defense. You know, when I tell people, hey, you have a mission, a duty to protect people out there, and you know, maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's a mother and father, maybe it's a brother and sister, maybe it's an uncle, but those people that even if you don't have that, who's protecting you? So there is always someone in life that you are destined to protect. That's what this is all about.
I mean, and someone knew where I was going with this then, because that was exactly what you just said. I got your 6. I'm going to back you up on that. One of the notes I put down was something I heard you say, protection is a calling. And okay, well, some of us, you know, protection is a calling, like in the literal, we're going to take those positions. You know, you've got generals in God's army, or, you know, generals in the natural, and we're going to lead that army, right? There's some that are called to actually lead and protect, but exactly what you just said, the listeners need to understand is, and I think that was one of the things you had said is,
right before this,
right
before we got on, the statement came out of my mouth, we're the first and the last line of defense when there isn't law enforcement or anybody else to help you. You are the defense to your child, your spouse, like you said, Karl. For sure.
Yeah. And so,
Brian, I'm sorry.
No, please go ahead.
You know, Brian, you bring up a good point. Is a lot of people default to law enforcement as their protector. Something that we forget here in America is that law enforcement was never set up as a protector, so to speak. Law enforcement is set up as a first responder. They are a response agency responding to crime that has been reported to them. That's the model of law enforcement that we have here. Yes, their motto is to protect and serve. Absolutely. However, the structure of modern day law enforcement is set up to respond as first responders to events that have already happened. So even in a good day, in most cities you go to, police response time of 5 minutes is commendable. But that 5 minutes, as
I know we probably got a little bit of interruption with our guest is actually on post in Arizona.
long, and who's going? I'm sorry, we had a bit of technical difficulty there. What was that again?
I know. Well, I was telling our listeners that you are on an assignment in Arizona, yet you're still keeping your word to meet with us. So we're so grateful. So you're probably having a little bit going on in your area right now. So.
Two things your viewers are seeing here. Number one is they're seeing what 2 hours of sleep can do to a person, and you're also getting the best of backgrounds that Holiday Inn Express in Oro Valley, Arizona could present you. So there you go. You got it.
There you go. Welcome to the Way of a Warrior broadcast, where we are just real, transparent, and we're in the moment, right? Boots on the ground. You never know what's going to be happening. And exactly what you just said, kind of piggybacking on, I love how you explained what law enforcement was never meant to be the first line of defense. And I don't know that I ever heard that before. But as a mom, as a homeschool, I was a homeschool mother, and the work I did in Africa and all that. And I thought, listen, who's going to protect our own families if we leave? Who's watching over the children? And, just like you said, if we cannot figure out how to protect our own families, which leads me into some of the questions that I have for you, which
before you start that, yes. Can I say one thing, Karl, before the interruption happened, you were saying the response time. I'm going to bring you back to that because I think we missed probably some major things that you said. But response time for law enforcement or for you to get some help, 5 minutes is a long time. I've been in a lot of fights, and 5 minutes as a trained professional is a long time. So imagine somebody that doesn't know how to defend themselves or know how to fight or whatever. That's life or death. Seconds are life or death.
Well, absolutely. And a critical situation is literally measured in seconds, as you're aware. So, 3 minutes can seem like an eternity. That's a standard that a lot of police academies use, is to be able to sustain yourself for 3 minutes. But 5 minutes is an incredible amount of time. And then even longer as you're waiting for people to get there. One piece of information I'd like to share with your viewers is that there is a difference between a first responder and a frontline responder. Now, the two of you do executive protection work, throughout Florida. Being in executive protection, being a professional bodyguard, puts you in a different position than being, say, a police officer on patrol. You working in executive protection are what is known as a frontline responder. What that means is that you are right there at what we call the moment of bang. When an event kicks off, an incident kicks off, you are right there at that moment. You are having to react to a situation. Remember that word react. You're having to react to a situation. Conversely, a police officer on patrol gets the call for service. They start responding. They're in a response mode at that time, where as they're responding to an incident, and trust me, from my years in law enforcement, I can tell you, you get that hot call on the radio, you're responding to an incident, whether it's 30 seconds away, a minute away, or more, you're starting to play a what-if game. You're starting to get your tactics, your mindset, and everything in order. That's one of, I would say, the luxuries of being a first responder versus a frontline responder. Frontline responders, you are simply acting to a stimulus that has been instantly presented to you right then and right there. And there's a variety of metaphors that we can utilize: frontline responder versus first responder in life.
Oh, isn't that the truth? And I like that because it makes me think about one of the situations that was in the news about I believe it was in Arizona, and a 2-level sex offender entered into a school. I believe you may double check my notes here so I'm correct. In November, you spoke with a reporter regarding a level 2 sex offender that entered into a school, assaulted a student. And so that kind of leads into, okay, what does a parent do? How do we proactively, safeguard our children? And then there'll be those times where you're going to have to respond because it was a situation that you couldn't, there's nothing you can do, right? So I'd love for you to share with the listeners and our parents, what can they do in order to be active with their school boards, the PTA, just to assure safety regarding that particular situation?
Well, Gina, the first thing that comes to mind is there's a lot of things that parents don't like to talk to their kids because they don't want them exposed to that type of environment. Folks, our children are not as innocent as that area as we think. Their daily lives in school are complex. They are confronted with hazards. They are confronted with risks today that we could not even imagine being presented with when we were kids. I'll give you an example. How do you expect your child to focus on schoolwork when in the classroom, when the buzz around school is the kid sitting directly behind him has a gun in his backpack or a knife in his backpack? Or threats have been communicated. Something's been written on the bathroom wall and a threat's been made and people are talking about it. This is a reality of every child across America in every school, starting in elementary school. So when I hear parents say, I don't want to talk about my kids, I don't want to talk to my kids about things like that, folks, this is the reality that they are living today. So number one, communication. Communicate with your kids, have honest conversations about them. I'm dating myself here when I talk about Stranger Danger program from way back many years ago. But it was one of those things where children were told, hey, I'm not always going to be around you as your parent to protect you. There are going to be times in your life as you grow up where you are going to have to be responsible for protecting yourself and protecting your friends that are around you. So teaching that reactionary skill set to children as young as elementary school is vital, I would say, for survival in today's environment.
Here's the warrior mindset. I mean, this was just a mic drop. And I can imagine so many of our listeners or viewers right now are probably thinking, I've never done that. I've never done that. As a trauma counselor, I deal with this stuff on a daily. Exactly what you just said. If we don't talk about it, it doesn't exist. Or if we do talk about it, I need to say it in a way that I don't cause fear. And you're right. Parents are in a situation that the three of us growing up, really, we didn't even know what terrorists were, right? We didn't understand probably what even that term meant. But, I was speaking to a Gen Xer the other day and she said, we were talking about my book, terrorists, both foreign and domestic, and they're in your house, they're in your cupboard, they're what you eat, kind of identifying different forms of terrorism, right? And she had said, oh no, I grew up with all this, the COVID, this is what I've known. So it's what you just said, Karl. The children know more than what the parents really think.
Absolutely. Folks come to people like you and I to learn self-defense, right? We're supposed to be experts at that. Let me suggest this. True self-defense anywhere in America begins in the home, and it begins with communication. That's the first step. Guys like Brian and I, we can teach you how to defend yourself all day long. But if you don't have that mindset that begins in the home, and if you don't have that freedom to talk, communicate with those people that not only you're protecting, but that are protecting you, you're going to be at a deficit.
Hey, yeah, 100%. Karl, Before I forget, you're absolutely right. Like communication 101. If there's no communication between the spouse and you, things are going to fall through the cracks. Your business, just something happened the other day with a protection detail I was on. Well, they failed to inform me that I was supposed to be there an hour early. So guess what? They weren't protected for an hour. That's a huge deal.
Yeah, I mean, you're like talking a $9 billion client. I mean, you have people that their lives are right in 1 second could be snuffed out. So that 1 second, but I'm so glad you brought that up. I mean, wills to the ground, nobody's communicating, and then you're just like, oh, we've got to refigure this out. And I think that's apropos to where a lot of parents are right now. I mean, we want to bring that mindset. Well, I'm not protecting yet your children. And if you fail to communicate, number one, you're not sitting down with them. Just give it 5 minutes when they come home from school. Give it before they go to bed. I know with my children, every night I laid down with them, and so how was your day? Or we read a book or whatever. And I think it's exactly what you just said and what Brian said, that 1 second, you don't know if they had a threat at school. You don't know if they're afraid of something and they didn't tell you, because I'm not going to snitch on my best friend, or I'm not going to say that I know that this might be going on because I could get in trouble. But if they're communicating with their parents and saying, this is going on and I'm really worried, so I'm curious with that situation that happened in Arizona. How are with the school systems and what you're seeing, are they just able to walk right in and nobody's vetting people that are walking on the campuses? Or with the infrastructure, what are we missing?
Many schools have gone above and beyond in installing the best electronic systems that are out there, doing all of these upgrades in Windows and protection and things like that. But what is the weakest link? And we all know this that work in the security industry. What is the weakest link in your security? It's not the cameras, the surveillance cameras, the magnetometers, the electronic side of it. It's the human factor. It's the human factor. And all it takes is someone to step out a door as a matter of convenience, a fully locked down campus, 100% certified lockdown campus. All it takes for them is a moment of wanting some convenience, stepping out a door for a minute, putting a small rock inside that door and saying, hey, I'm just going to run to my car and come right back. Criminals have actually taken advantage of that, real case studies, and seen that rock go into that door. And so, hey, here's my opportunity, and go in. So that human factor is what we're always combating, that complacency, if you will, that we're always combating. How many times do we see people, oh, well, I'm going to step out of my office and take a break. And you know what? I'm just going to put a rock in the door and just take my break or my smoke break, whatever it happens to be. And there they have created a vulnerability in a 100% secure facility. This individual found a vulnerability, walked in, was in the school for several minutes, then walked out of the school. The police didn't pick him up until he was back in the neighborhood. So when you look at vulnerabilities, people will tell me, oh, hey, we have a 100% secure facility. Well, there's no such thing as 100% secure. So they've done a great job at making it secure, but they haven't taken into consideration the human factor. And that, again, what does it go back to? Communication. And, I'm kind of giggling on the inside because I like to take this kind of information, and I've always been the type of person to apply it to myself first before like blaming other people, kind of look at myself and say, okay, is there any truth in what Karl's saying, how that might apply to me? And I'm kind of laughing. I hope my husband's good here because this could be a moment. No, Brian locks everything. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm home. I'm about the house. And then I go to come in the screen door. It's locked to get into the pool. And then I go around the other side. Okay. It's locked. And I'm like, okay.
You ain't getting in this house, Karl.
I'm laughing, Karl, because I'm taking a real serious scenario, real life scenario that took place that you were party to the intel, the inside information on it. And I'm trying to bring it down to the listeners to understand, well, wait, what does that have to, okay, the rock and what does that have to do? Well, your own home, are both the parents working? Do the children come home alone? Do they walk home from school? Do they come, and they're busy on Roblox, they're on their phones, they're on their games, they're communicating with people, then they're posting on social media exactly where they're at the exact time, and then they're walking in their front door and they don't lock, these are the situations. I think that what you're explaining is the listeners can understand, listen, in my own home, what can I do? Where am I putting, so to speak, the rock in the door? Where's my vulnerable area? Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. I mean, the phrase comes to mind, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? And we can make this as complex as we could imagine. However, throughout your child's day, if you're looking to set up a protection plan for your child, break it down into different segments. Your child departs the home, they walk to school. Okay, what vulnerabilities exist there? Your child goes into school, what vulnerabilities exist there? Your child walks home. Your child is at home for a couple of hours, which isn't unusual nowadays. Your child's at home for a couple of hours before the parents get home. Okay, look at that. What vulnerabilities exist there? We think that what we call threat and risk vulnerability assessments, TRVAs, are something that, just the federal government would do. Mm-hmm. Threat and risk vulnerability assessments are something that need to be done at the family level, at home. Are we truly safe? Have you gone out and spent 35 cents for a window lock so nobody can jimmy your window and pull it open? 35 cents. Wow. Have you done something as simple? If you have smaller children in the house, clearly, and by law, we cannot have our small children exposed to firearms in a home. We know that. But have you thought of alternatives? Have you taken a small fire extinguisher? And they come in small, medium, and large. So whatever size your child, have you taken a small fire extinguisher, placed it by the door, or placed it in a general central area of your home so your child can literally use that as a defensive tool if they need to, a non-lethal defensive tool if they need to? Think about this. Take a fire extinguisher, spray it in somebody's eyes. What does it do? Temporarily blinds them, chokes them up. And that's something that anybody can do as they're trying to run away from the area. Small little things like that. Do you have these little panic alarms at $12? You can get them at any store that have the little pull handle on them that sends off a audible and a visual alarm. Do you have those? Is there one hanging by the front door if you have children? So if somebody does push through that front door, they can just grab that and yank it off the lanyard very quickly. Little things like that. Doesn't cost a lot of money, but you know what it does take? It takes effort, and it takes effort on everyone's part. What type of seeds are you planting for the protection of your family?
Oh, that's great. That's right. Great. And see, those are all things that people don't know or don't realize. But where I'm from, the mindset my mindset is I grew up in a pretty bad area, so I had to learn those type of things. Most people haven't had to grow up where I've grown up, or and they don't know how bad it is. And unfortunately, they learn the hard way. But what I wanted to talk about with you and get your expertise on, and my wife and I will learn from you, is what are some of the things, because a lot of these predators are now online through video games and things like that. What are some of the things that you've experienced? What would you say to safeguard your children with those type of things?
Sure. As a matter of fact, we just did a report on this recently in one of the media outlets that I work with. Again, I hate to keep sounding like a broken record, but goes back to communication. Parents, and I say this underlined in red in bold, parents, know what your children are looking at when they're sitting in front of a screen. What can that be? Laptop, cell phone, pad, home computer. If they are sitting in front of a screen, there are signals they are receiving going into their brain. Simplify it. Think about it just like that. If your child is sitting in front of a screen, doesn't matter, cell phone, whatever it might be, there is somebody out there communicating with them besides you. Know who is communicating with your kids. Very simply, if you were out at the grocery store with your child and your child said, "Oh, hey, mom, dad, I'm going to run around here and grab something," and wouldn't you be concerned if they stopped and started talking to a stranger? Oh my gosh, we'd be all over that, wouldn't we?
Right. Yeah, you
How
might
often
see
do we
a
see
box of
this?
Cheerios go flying down the aisle or hit someone in the head or something.
Yeah.
Get
How
away
often
from
do
me.
we see this? Yeah, mom, everything's fine. Yeah, I'm good.
Oh,
Everything's fine.
don't get me started, Karl. Don't get me started.
What is the difference between that and them communicating with a stranger? And
Good for you.
bad guys are aware that children are allowed to be unsupervised in
Mhm.
all types of mediums. What about online gaming,
Oh,
Yep.
I know.
networked gaming?
Yep.
Perpetrators are all over that on an international level. And Jane and Brian, as you know, it's not necessarily the guy down the street. We're talking about collaborated efforts of perpetrators on the other side of the world that are sitting there trying to corrupt your child, trying to get criminal access to your child, this sort of thing. This is networked organized crime that we're dealing with. But
Yes, it is.
I've always liked that analogy of if your child is looking at a screen, someone else besides you is communicating with them. Beware.
Good for you. I mean, and that's, I always make the statement, we're not supposed to be alarmed, just alert. There's a difference between being an alarmist, right? And then there's a difference between just being alert. So I think I really hope all of you listeners, I do really hope your ears are open and your hearts are open to what Karl is explaining. And I mean, we could spend hours, days on what this man has. Right? I mean, come on. I was even just. I mean, one of the highlights on your bio, I put that you entered into the private sector, working in aviation security management at 5 airports in the United States, to include and put some of the airports there. But you also served as U.S. government security contractor, assigned to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Federal Protective Service. Why am I saying all that? Listen, this man knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's talking about. And, the Bible says they're ever hearing, but not perceiving. They're always listening, but never hearing. We have got to absorb what you are speaking about today. Again, I'm going to reiterate the reason for this series on the MMA fighters and protective agents, because warriors are an innate group. I know, if you want to get into that a little bit, but, I'd asked you before, how did you know that protection was your calling? And you had an interesting background on that. And we all have got to protect. And it is a calling if you have a family, especially what we say, the man of the home, right? The man of the home, you can call it the priest of the home, the pastor of the home, whatever you want to call it. But the man is literally supposed to protect the household. And the man is supposed to make the final decisions. The woman's the helpmate. We help each other. Okay, honey, and then Brian will fight me on it. No, I really think this is a good idea. And then he gets a little fighting. And I realize, I'm really married to a fighter. I'm married to a warrior. And if he gets backed in a corner, he just comes out fighting. I hope our listeners feel like the enemy has literally backed their families in a corner. And I hope they come out fighting today, Karl. I hope after they listen to this, they say, you know what? I learned some things I can practically do. I need to first start communicating with my children. If they're sitting at that table and they're on their phone, who are you talking to? What are you looking at?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely. You have to have that connection, and that connection has to exist there. And Lord knows a teenager is incredibly difficult to communicate with. And we all know, we've all been there as parents, right?
Yes.
But even when their eyes are rolling in the back of their head and they're saying, whatever, mom, whatever, dad, because we've all heard that, what? They're still listening. It's still making an impact on them. They're just not going to show you the courtesy to let you know that. And
Absolutely.
we know that because how often have we as adults looked back on our childhood and said, wow, you know what? Mom and dad, they weren't too dumb after all, were they? We all know. You know, we all know it's an
Right.
evolution.
It
It's
is.
an evolution. So continue to talk to your kids. Hey, kids, we're going to sit down tonight and we're going to have that discussion about security for your benefit and for mine. Oh, really? Come on, Dad. Come on, Mom. No, let's sit down and let's do this.
And
Because
watch
20,
this.
30 years from now, you know what? When they have kids, guess what they're going to do? Follow your model and follow your lead. It
I
is
do
all
want to
safe.
say 100%,
Right,
100%. That you're saying that about parents, that brought me a memory back. I was telling somebody just the other day, I was so embarrassed. My mom was always on me. She everywhere I went, she knew everything.
Mhm.
She knew where I was going before I'd even start going. And Brian, and I hear a voice, and I'd be all my friends go, Brian, like making fun of me, right? But listen, I was never molested. I was never
Come on.
put in a bad situation.
That's right.
Because mom was always there. And it's
Come on, Brian.
it's kind of funny, Karl, but I'm going to say this. My dad was an alcoholic, and I'm not trying to go into my story of that, but I'll say this. The first time I got jumped, by 8 guys, they literally were they beat the, out of me, and they were still trying to steal my Letterman's jacket. You know who I cried out for? My mom. While I was getting beat.
Oh, how sweet.
Mom, like I because I was so scared. But I ended up getting out of that situation. And guess who came out? My mom came out, and she went looking for him.
The original Mrs. Unbreakable.
So that's a protector, right? Protectors come in all forms.
Why did you do that? It wasn't psychological. It was biological. We automatically default to that instinct of those people that are inherently going to protect us. And those first protectors in our life is the mother that we come from and the father that is standing by us throughout. And Gina, I challenge anyone to go back on your comments and say, oh, well, that's so sexist, what you're saying about, the husband protecting us and the wife taking care of the kids. Folks, it has nothing to do with sexism at all. It has to do with nature.
Come on.
Go look at any tribe of animal, and you will see that the male is the one that goes direct to threat, and the female is one that is entrusted with the tribe.
Come on. Hey, and thank you for backing me up on there. I'm sure the comments are going crazy on that. But obviously I'm a strong woman. Obviously I'm a confident woman. And my confidence isn't in me. It's, for our listeners that, I died 3 times on crack cocaine. I wasn't protected. I was left in the home of my, my mom's family, her sister's husband. Family, stranger danger, right? It's your own, pay attention to what's going on in your own family. So being raised and all that, I just have a fire to protect the children, a fire, anti-human sex trafficking, go out and rescue these children, and teach the families, teach these people. And I've got a husband that is confident enough that allows me to be who God created me to be. I remember back in the day, someone saying to my daughters, why does your mom's a preacher? Like, that's just not right. And I don't think that's God's way. And natural instinct of my daughter, she said, well, let's see, tell her she can't preach the gospel. You just removed her lungs and her heart out of her chest. Like, that was my daughter's response, And so I thank God that I have a man that lets me be who I am, but I couldn't do what I do if I didn't have him. But this leads me into a little thing, a brief. We have a duck that has a Muscovy duck that has now become our duck here in Florida and stays on our porch, won't leave us. But there's a particular point I want to get to, is what you just said. She had her baby daddy got killed in the street. She had 8 eggs. She found a safe place on our front porch, and she never left to have her eggs. Well, one by one, she had to kick them all out because they were bad, and how the ducks do. Okay. And it really broke my heart, Karl, because I want to see the babies, give us the babies, but the babies never came. And I just remember just asking God, I don't understand. There was a great lesson. She was plucking her feathers out and covering the eggs. And Psalm 91 says, God covers us with his wings and his feathers. And so this duck was just mutilating her body to protect her eggs.
Sure.
Okay. So what a great picture, right? But what
doesn't
happened?
a parent go to any extent to protect their children? And you know what? It has nothing to do with a weaker or a stronger sex. I don't buy that at all. Okay.
Good.
Not at all. There are equal. If both parents choose to be warriors and have a warrior mindset, then that's what they shall be. But I will tell you what, there is a natural order at play here with every species, including human beings. And I'm going to prove it here in just a second. Brian, you're a tough guy. There is no question in anybody's mind that you're a tough guy. But any species you come across, human or otherwise, are you going to mess with Mama Bear when she's with her children?
No.
We just know.
As
males, we just know. I don't care if I run across a bear with her cubs, a chicken with her cubs, or a human mother with her cubs, with her children. You do not mess with that individual. Don't mess with Mama Bear. We all know that. And that's just a natural, inherent thing as part of the human ecosystem. That's how we were made. Again, defaulting to biology, not psychology.
Defaulting to biology, not psychology. Exactly. And so the interesting conclusion to that story was something very interesting. We were talking to a neighbor, and it came out of his mouth, and I had my aha moment of the bigger picture of why she lost the babies. And the neighbor said to me, well, Gina, you know that a mother doesn't leave her babies. A mother sits on those eggs. She was hungry. Now I'm getting somewhere here, listeners. So everybody take a little pause. If you kind of were listening and all of a sudden like your mind went off somewhere, Karl, we're going to bring them all right back right now, because I want everybody to know, I don't care if you're a single mother, single parent, two parents, your children are in trouble. I want you to understand there's always backup. There's always going to be backup. Okay. So this little ducky was a single mama because she lost her little baby daddy in the street, but she was hungry and she had to leave those eggs and she had to go find food for herself. Sure. And she lost all of those babies. But guess what? What's the bigger picture here? She found a safe place to stay. She found a protector. She found a first responder. She found a first line house of defense. Who's going to keep me? Who's going to make sure now that I'm here and I don't have him anymore? Who's going to and that duck has never left our house now for 4 months. Stays on our front porch. Amazon takes pictures. They leave a package with the duck in it. It speaks volumes. So I want everybody to be encouraged, because Karl, when we've lost, or maybe we feel like, gosh, I'm listening to this podcast today. My child's already, this has already happened, or they're living with us and they're already in their late 20s. And gosh, we never had family meetings. I can't start now. This is going to look ridiculous. No, you can. You can start. Yesterday was yesterday, and today's a new day. And whether you're a single mom and you've suffered some loss and had some hits, because I remember the first time I was, divorced and single, I had to leave. And it was at that time my daughter took off to meet a boy at a movie theater. I was a stay-at-home mom. Those kids, they were with me every second on, basketball, travel, all of it. Karl, I had to go. And where did she go? Went to a movie theater to meet a guy while I was. So I'm saying all that to encourage our listeners that what you're saying is, it is never too late to communicate. Right? Yeah. No matter what, your children look at you and roll their eyes and say, oh, whatever, we know more than you do. You're telling.
You ever want to see an interesting reaction from somebody? Talk to a professional protector, somebody that does it for a living, right? And then ask them, hey, you do this for a living, phenomenal. How's it going with your kids? What kind of protection plan do you have for your kids, for your family, your house? And you always see them like, yeah.
Oh,
it's so true. I mean, even those of us, and I say that because there's no fault out there, many people in our industry, I mean, they are some of the best protectors in the world, but we forget at the end of the day that our mission extends to our residents, to our home, and to our family. I would say even more than it does to people that we protect that are complete strangers. You know, there's that saying out there, you know, I'm willing to do this to protect people I don't know. Imagine what I will do, to what extent I will go to protect those that I love, right? So as protectors, we live in two worlds. We live in the world of public protection, professional protection, but more importantly, we live in the world of protecting what is ours. Make sure, fellow protectors, that both of those are being done on an equal caliber.
Yeah, can you even speak after what you just said?
Rewind that setting.
What you just said.
That was amazing. I do before
this.
Yes. Say that one more time, and then I have something to add to that.
Say it again for the people in the back, Karl.
Yeah. No matter, even if you're a professional protector, you need to be as good at your profession of protecting as you are in the protection program you have set up for your family and at home. If you truly want to look at yourself and say, I am at the top of my industry, it means that you're not only good in your public job, but you have just as good a security plan at home with your family. Because at the end of the day, if somebody targets you, if a bad guy targets you, they're also looking into your home and looking at your vulnerabilities where you live. Take that as a scary point in this industry.
100%. You are picking my brain because I'm just going to say it. We became really, really good friends with some of the other protectors. You would know if I say their names. They've taken the same courses as we have, but we become really good friends, and we've done a lot of assignments together. And you know, what's the famous thing? You are your brother's keeper. You know, you watch over your brother when maybe he might not even be thinking about this situation, possibly online or whatnot. But we are so close that we can tell each other, "Hey, you're slipping up right here."
You're slipping,
Or we can, speak some words of truth or words of wisdom into this person, and we hold each other accountable. Is basically
it's a tribe, right? It's a tribe.
Yes,
it is. Oh, well, we have over our formal dining area a big a piece of artwork that says, "Find your tribe and love them unconditionally." You know, love. Right? 1 Corinthians 13 talks about love is patience. It's love is kind, love is gentle, but love also protects, and love has boundaries, which is why our nonprofit is Truth and Love Ministries, because you got to speak the truth always, never deny the truth. But love is actually the protective barrier. And it is love to tell your child, if you go across that street and you don't look right and you don't look left, you're going to get smashed. Like, you will not survive this. Love has boundaries.
Yeah. I have this saying that I wholeheartedly believe and I really take to heart. If anyone close to me, and I mean family, loved ones, protectees, clients, whoever, if you ever become threatened, don't expect me to be the knight in shining armor that you want to show up. Expect me to be the monster that has to show up.
Oh, that's
you're speaking my language right there. What
do you always say? People will leave it, but they'll come back.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. My wife and I, of course, we're going on our 11-year anniversary here, Karl, real soon. And she had to learn some things about me in the very beginning. And a side of me that she had never seen before.
Yes.
In a couple situations out in the public, and a couple guys pushing the boundaries, and let me tell you, we have some funny things we can talk about, but at the time it wasn't funny. You know, I had to tell her a few things. Listen, don't ever hold my arms. You know, if this situation ever happens again, do not.
Yeah.
Like, she was trying to protect. Now you're trying to protect the other person.
I'm trying to protect them from him.
And I get it, but please don't hold my arms anymore. And other funny situations.
Yes.
But I always tell my wife, and this is, you might have the same philosophy, I don't know. But once I try to say, especially today, she asked me,
What?
are you excited about today? I go,
This is my
when
excited
do I
face.
just show that I'm excited about anything? Like, I'm excited, yeah, but you will never know if I'm excited, mad, happy, sad.
You don't.
I have this certain level that I'm at, and I know it sounds crazy, but you don't want me at 10. Don't ever get me to 10, because I can't go back from 10 down to 2 very easily. So
Sure.
I don't know if it's the same with you or not, but a level of violence, I really never want to see that person come out.
Sure.
I don't want to see level 10. I don't want to see it ever. Not just for me. But anyhow.
Well, it makes me
the type of warriors that I look to work with, the type of warriors that I look to surround myself with, are those individuals that can speak softly and be, there's saying out there in ancient Asian script that says you should be able to pet a flower and pick up a feather, at the same time wield a sword in the other hand.
Yes.
You're looking for that combination of genuine person. I don't want to work with guys that are switched on 24/7. I'm sorry.
100%.
There's no balance there. And to be a true warrior, the yin and the yang, right? You've got to be balanced. You have to be a whole person. And that's really what we're looking for at the higher end of the industry where I work. You've got to be a balanced person. I mean, take a saying back from our good folks at Fort Bragg. We're not looking for the best person. We're looking for the right person. And I think that speaks volumes to this industry.
It reminds me the biblical story of Jesus, of Peter, who Jesus said, you, out of all the disciples, Jesus, you are the one I'm going to build my church on. You're going to be the rock, Peter. Okay. Wow. And then when the centurion soldier came to arrest Jesus, what did Peter do? Took out a sword and whacked off his ear.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not taking my best. No. And what did Jesus do? Basically picked up the ear, did some surgery immediately, and chill, Peter. This is not the time for that. And then, so warriors have that ability to de-escalate. You're going to de-escalate everything. The last, right? That's the last thing you're going to do. The first thing is you absolutely de-escalate every situation. And bringing that back to what we're talking about for our listeners, for the families. Some of our listeners may be in some serious situations. I mean, we got a call. We had, I don't know if our listener, we do rescueorintervention.com. That's our website. So ROI. So we get called out where, literally there's emergencies that the families, because they are right in the middle of the trauma, they can't think. To us, we're like, oh, you just need to, but they are in the trauma. So they call us in, and we literally had one, the child was getting ready to pick up all the hormones to transition to be a girl. Well, I know what to do. Like, really? But they were so traumatized because everything's going on, right? So we go in and we handle that situation, and now the child's not taking them. But the whole, right? So the whole point is, what you're saying is, how with the families, whatever's already escalated, it might feel like you're already at that 10, your house is on fire, or, your whole entire house has been invaded. All you need to do, right, is step back and reassess the situation. Never panic through it. Never make a decision, right? Would you agree? In a panic, you need to step back.
Right. Yeah. When we have a saying in the protection industry that when there seems like there's no options, there's options. Always think a situation through. There's going to be resolution. There's going to be a way to resolve this. You just haven't thought of what it is yet. And it's the craziest thing, but you can use that for de-escalation from, your kids all the way up to, those of us that deal with bad guys for a living. It just has to do with approach. Like I say, the term no is only temporary when somebody tells you no. You just haven't figured out a way to communicate with them yet to see your point of view, so they say yes. So there's always a way to de-escalate.
This is a perfect time to integrate something that I personally learned from your instruction, And you said at one point, so you had all this warrior mindset, military background, law enforcement, but you said, you can correct me exactly how you said it, but I believe you said you went into the hospitality field.
Yes.
So that you could learn hospitality, how you could learn to communicate and be hospitable. I have this written down in big letters here because that's one thing I really wanted to drive home because Karl, okay, same thing with me, a warrior background, fighter, blah, blah, blah. But communication, you mentioned it, communication is key. So I've been inserted into high luxury protection things right at the moment. One of my biggest takeaways is hospitality.
Yes.
What I'm learning from that situation, and I got that because I went to your training and I remember that. So would you be able to speak exactly why you did that and why you went into that field?
Well, first off, congratulations, and I'm honored that you would take something that I said to heed. I appreciate that. But yeah, one of the things about being a professional protector is you have to be diversified. It's not all about the gun or the fist. It's not. Number one, you have to be customer service oriented and you have to be diversified in your career. And as you know, and I'll just repeat the story here, I took 2 sabbaticals out of my executive protection career. One, to go into aviation security management. I worked at 5 different airports around the United States. And the other one at another period in my career to go into 2 years of hospitality security management, working at high-end resorts. Because both of those are environments where our protectees spend a lot of time. You're not going to be with a protectee for any period of time that isn't going to an airport or isn't going to a hotel or a resort. So to learn those 2 worlds from the inside out was incredibly important for me. And along the way, I not only learned the keys to protect, but I also learned all of the little bits about customer service, that both of those industries taught, because both aviation and hospitality are very customer centric, right? I mean, that's where they make their money. That's what they do. So picking up the little innuendos, the little bits of advice from each one of those industries was absolutely and utterly amazing for me. One of the things that I recall out of the hospitality industry is unreasonable brand loyalty. Can I talk about that for just a second? Because there's lessons in here to learn.
Please do.
Brand loyalty is something that is preached in the hospitality industry. And it's taking an individual who could go out there and stay anywhere to get them focused on the why of they will stay with you. And think about this. You go to Vegas, how many hotel options do you have on the strip? My gosh, right? But why do you have your favorite? Why is there one place you will go to? And if you think about this, unreasonable brand loyalty applies to every single product we put in our hand. I'm sure that each one of you in some aspect of your life have a product that you are absolutely sold on, be it a car or a fashion product or a beauty product or a set of golf clubs, whatever it might be. And that unreasonableness comes from the fact that I could offer you that same product cheaper, get it to you faster, might even have better reviews, but you are dead set, no, that's the product I want. That's what I want. That's that unreasonable brand loyalty. And the reason that I bring this up is because that's what we need to build in ourselves as protectors, that unreasonable brand loyalty. My clients, honestly, yes, they've read my bio. 90% of my clients couldn't begin to tell you half about what you told the audience about me, in the beginning there. They've heard it. It's not what's important to them. What's important to them is I'm their guy. And I don't worry about losing or about people stealing my clients. There's always this thing in executive, oh, that person's going to steal my clients. Folks, clients don't get stolen from us. Someone else comes along that has a better product than we did and was able to outgame us and outperform us, and our client left us to go to them. You truly did not have unreasonable brand loyalty from your client if they say, you know what, I'm going to go try this other product over here and see how it is. You want to get that ultimate kind of nirvana you want to be with your protective clients is when they just happen to say, you're my guy, you're my gal. What other reason do they need? That's when you really reach that pinnacle of success in this industry.
And serving, I don't think we could agree anymore. I mean, and then serving, well, that's the foundation of everything that Brian and I do is we feel it's better to serve than to be served. So serving and giving, protecting, helping others, well, that's in our marrow. That's what we love to do, right? And I believe that's what our clients love. Some of those details, like, wow, how did you realize I needed that? Or I was thinking that, or because I'm here to serve you. And I noticed that you had a need. And so I met that behind the scenes, so to speak.
Yeah, people know if you care or not. I mean, bottom line, it's an instinct. It's a human instinct,
It is.
When somebody is just walking the walk and talking the talk because
right,
this is their job, or if somebody truly cares. And you know what it all comes down to? And this is what 46 years in this industry has taught me. The ones that are able to accomplish that are good listeners. It's not all about themselves. It's wanting to know about the other person. And that inspires a feeling that, oh, wow, this person's interested in me.
Yeah.
Listen, become a good listener, not all about you, become a good listener.
That's right. Well, I mean, I wish we had like another hour to go on because you're just such a wealth of wisdom full of, I mean, we don't say that about too many people. Well, you know what? Truth. I'm a truth teller. I'm a truth seeker. I'm not one of those, hey, how you doing today? Oh, I'm great. And you're not. But be honest. Right. It's how I am. And we just have so much respect for you. And hopefully we'll be able to attend very much. Hopefully we can attend another one of your courses. I know you're doing a lot in Arizona right now. So we'd love to maybe talk off camera and see what's going on over there and what possibly we can get involved. But we're just honored that you took the time, on your assignment to meet with us. We hope all
2 hours of sleep.
With 2 hours of sleep.
And he still came.
But it still looks good. Look at him. There we go. But that's what we do, right? We just keep on moving no matter, how many hours we're putting in. But I hope all of our listeners have really gleaned. And I know this podcast will be listened to over and over because there's so much information. And it needs to turn into like my intro. There's a lot of information, but it's only until it's really revealed into your own soul how to apply it. It's just information. So we've got a lot of that.
Brian, it was an absolute honor to be here with you today. Thank you for the invitation. I'd love to come back and join you at a later time. But this was an absolute pleasure. Thank you, most importantly, for doing what you're doing for others. And thank you for doing what you're doing for each other because it shows.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. We've gotten a few amazing marriage compliments lately, and one guy said recently, "You're the only marriage I know that's real out there." I was like, "Wow, that's saying a lot," but it's saying a lot, but it's not saying enough. Karl,
yes,
honor, privilege. Can't wait to do another extensive training with you, the next level, and let us know when that is and what area, and we'll be there for sure. And we'll bring some more of our good friends with us. We appreciate it.
Yes. God bless you.
Stay safe here. Have a great day, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey, Pastor Brian, Mr. Unbreakable Warren. This is my wife, Gina Guy Warren. Where can they find us?
Well, we are building a community of warriors and specialized mentorship. So you can go to thewayofawarrior.org. If you're in need of immediate rescue or intervention help, please visit us at rescueorintervention.com. Trauma counseling, our books, or you'd like to support our missions, please visit our nonprofit website at truthandloveministries.org. God bless you all.